Welcome to the 3 Gig Sports Podcast, where we are never wrong, but sometimes misinformed. This is Danny G sitting alongside Jimmer and Rio, per the usual, and we're going to bring something a little bit different to you today. So far, we've talked through our predictions on NFL standings, college football standings, even player prediction, who's going to get the NFL MVP, Heisman Trophy, things like that. Well, today, this special version of the podcast is going to give you fantasy picks, fantasy thoughts, and ideas for specifically 12-team leagues in ESPN, because that's what we've got going on this weekend, and we know a lot of you still have to draft between today and even Monday, so hopefully we can give you some help here. But before we get that started, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Jimmer with some news on the day.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and start this off with a correction from yesterday. And that correction is we brought up Coastal Carolina, and we thought their one loss was against their pickup game. That was incorrect. They actually beat BYU in that pickup game, 22-17. BYU needed that game, so they needed another ranked opponent to strengthen their case for the college football playoff. Coastal Carolina's one loss came in their bowl game to Liberty, actually, in the Pier Bowl. So we're going to go ahead and roll with the
wrong.
news. Never wrong.
Never wrong. Sometimes just misinformed.
Just
right?
sometimes misinformed, baby. All right, so Ole Miss's Kiffin tests positive for COVID and is out for the opener. Thoughts?
Oh, COVID. You've ruined
Yeah.
so many things for us the last 2 years.
So any effect on Ole Miss? First game of the season, too?
Slightly. Louisville, going to be kind of tough. I think they should handle them.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sources say DeAndre Jordan intends to join the Lakers to be the 17th member of the AARP club.
There we go. Those rates are going down at this point. They keep pulling guys in.
Hey, if they get enough
Yeah.
of them, then they may be able to just, like, one night U5 start, and then next night
No
U5
kidding.
start.
Right, load management going to be real easy over there.
All right.
Yeah. Doesn't it say a lot that he didn't end up re-signing with Brooklyn and came over
Yeah.
to LA?
Yeah, that was
He got traded to Detroit and then bought out.
Well, yeah, but he could have
But
gone
yeah,
back to
yep.
Brooklyn, right?
right.
We have Mac Brown says Hokies gave overrated UNC reality check with a 17-10 loss. Chris, what you got about that?
That was tough, man. I watched the game. I picked in, I like him. Sam Howell, going to be stud. Heisman candidate for sure. Man, I did not see that coming. That O-line looked really bad. They could not block for the run game. It didn't seem when they needed to. And you can't see that on the stats. Stat-wise, I think they were 4 yards to carry and 6, but still, just some of the holes weren't there to get the running game going, to keep the pressure off, having to pass all the time. And then he was running for his life back there. They couldn't pass block as well. So, terrible interception at the end, though. Got to throw that ball away. Give yourself another chance.
Yeah, we got to throw that one away. That was an ugly interception to try to prevent a sack.
Yeah.
It was 2nd and 7 at that point.
Right, yeah. I mean, you had 2 more downs to play with. Throw it away and give yourself a fighting chance. So,
Yep.
that's tough because I thought they were going to roll this year, do pretty well. I think I had them finishing 2, I believe. So
Does that hurt his Heisman chance?
No,
A
I
game
think
like
he's
that, no.
lucky it was game 1.
No, game 1. Everybody, I
Rebound.
think we talked about it. Everybody trying to put it together. Wheels kind of loose steel. So, obviously they're going to hope for Virginia Tech to do very well as they continue forward in the season. So,
Yep. So our next one, which this one may be a conversation also, Big 12 to receive applications from 4 schools, starting with BYU, Cincy, UCF, and Houston. Thoughts on that?
Man, I love it. I love the addition of Houston. I like BYU as well. Solid choices, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'll try to pick it back up there.
yeah.
I mean, I have if they only got 2 of those, I mean, I guess you can go 2 different ways here. if you want traditionally sound programs, probably BYU and Cincy just kind of made a baseline for themselves over their tenure or over their history here. But the upside, UCF and Houston. UCF, you're getting that Florida market. You're getting that Florida
A foot in
athlete.
Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's huge. For it's what, California, Texas, and Florida, whichever order you want to put them in talent for bringing in recruits, that's big. Houston has kind of always been flirting with this. They've been wanting to do it. They keep getting shut down. I think these are 4 sound programs to try to come in
Yeah.
and try to relieve some of the pain that's about to happen from losing Oklahoma and Texas. They're not going to bring the money in, though. Not like those two.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Wasn't that like 75% of the funds came from those two universities? So that's a lot to make up right there.
I think if you want to bring in competition, you go Cincinnati and Florida, Central Florida, right?
Yep.
Right there, just that'll help with your viewers because, if you bring in a Houston, a team that, kind of middle of the pack team, Cincinnati's going to be tough, right? So if you bring in a team that compete, and I think those two probably do it, maybe BYU, I think you got to consider those first, because like you just said, you're not getting the money that they're going to bring, right? Just off the name. So you want to bring viewers, and I think the most competitive teams will do that for you.
I'm going to have to go ahead and give you guys a quiz question quick, okay? The Big 12 has 10 members in it as of right now. 2 of them are private schools. Name those 2 schools. One of them is obvious.
2 of them are private schools.
Yep. One of them, you're going to cheat.
Yeah.
You're going to bust out the phone?
We got to cheat.
Danny is going to cheat.
Well, think about the teams.
All right, Rhea, who is it, bro?
I don't know.
You went to a few of the college games.
TCU.
Yep. That should be the obvious one. The one that I was surprised by. I did not know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Baylor.
Baylor would, yeah.
Yeah, Baylor's a private school. I did not realize that.
Really?
Yeah, I was shocked too when I read it up on it. They have 8 public schools in there, and then 2 private. And the one that came to me right away before I read it was TCU. I kind of figured that one was, but yeah, Baylor's the other one.
Okay,
interesting.
So, a little tidbit there. So let's go ahead and kick it back over to you guys and see what we got rolling here in fantasy.
All right. So we're rolling off of ESPN's rankings here and draft positions. Clear cut, I think 1 and 2 have to go either McCaffrey or Dalvin Cook, right?
I don't see why you go anywhere else. I mean, if you want to make a debate for Alvin Kamara or Derrick Henry, maybe. It's just
I don't even think maybe. I think it's clear cut 1 and 2. I think Cook, what he's shown he can do after he kind of got over the injury bugs.
Yep.
I think he's definitely up there. Christian McCaffrey, not scared of the injury. I think he comes back, does well. I think he's on a better team now, so that should only help his value.
Does the Alvin Kamara scare you a little bit because of where that team is? Like,
yeah,
in the transition of the
right.
Drew Brees era.
You're right. So you have Winston right now going to start. Not crazy, outside of Michael Thomas, a receiving core, unproven.
Wouldn't that boost him up a little bit because he's only one of? He can catch balls. We know that
he can.
So
I think
Jason
defense,
from behind.
I think defense stacks a box and makes Winston prove he can beat him by throwing the ball. So that's why he falls down. Like I said, McCaffrey, Cook, definitely 1 and 2, and they can flip flop, and I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I think Kamara is going to be the focal point. He's got to be, right? So he's definitely going to be a solid fantasy value. But where you draft him, I don't think you put him at the 1 or 2 spot. I agree with that. I would see a stronger argument with Derrick Henry based on what Tennessee's done to really open things up for him than Kamara. I think Kamara's in a worse spot, not a better spot than he has been in the last few years.
Definitely.
So, first off, we're looking at these roster percentages. What the hell? Unless you're playing all defense league and all kicker league, how in the hell are you seeing 99.9% on Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry? Come on. And if you're playing in one of those other leagues, Seriously,
Hey man, as my boy K Sharp said, got to draft them kickers for trade bait.
Trade bait, baby. Trade bait. You got 3 kickers. What's that? Trade bait. Nobody's coming to you for no damn kicker.
Yeah, I think what skews those numbers, there's probably a lot of leagues where you draft your NFL team's players instead of actually looking at who's, going to score you points and that.
Nah, just
Just dumb stuff like that, as Jimmer would say.
yeah, just doing the dumb
stuff. Okay.
So, I see Saquon's going average pick of 7th. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, just my note on it is his injury history is a concern, but when healthy, we are talking possibility of a number 1 overall pick. If you didn't have the concerns of that, you just turn, in my opinion, you just turn Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, and Saquon into the same conversation. It would be a 3-way conversation for the number 1 pick if you take injury out of that.
Sure. Yeah, 7. I see him going 5. Here, possibly 4. Depends on kind of who you like there. Like I said, Alvin Kamara, for me, has lost a little bit of value. But to fall to 7, that's kind of crazy. I think a little bit of concern just because O-line problems. But as player-wise, I think you take him, and he balls out for sure.
Yeah, I get the concern. Injury concern is definitely there for him. That offensive line is not very good, as we've talked about before. So they're going to stack the box and everything like that. But with all that said, he is that type of running back that can get over that and will still do great. So I feel like he's fallen too low. So I agree with you guys on there. But then
Better than Zeke, right?
Yeah, definitely better value
Okay.
than Zeke. Yeah.
Not value,
Definitely.
better.
Better everything.
Yeah, better all around everything. Tree trunks for legs.
I did want to touch on this next guy pretty heavy here. Devontae Adams is actually going right in the same area as Saquon Barkley. What say you?
The Devontae Adams, I thought your note on it was pretty silly, actually.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you slipped up. You were able to slip a
Could get
championship, some
Kelce.
goofy stuff. Devontae Adams is the number 1 receiver taken off. And the only other receiver that I would probably think about right about here outside of that is Tyreek Hill. So Devontae's that far up because Aaron Rodgers and him just have a love connection. I don't know if you remember seeing that on Instagram where they both posted at the same time. The Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen.
Yeah. Yep.
Holding each other up. Devontae Adams is probably the clear-cut one, and I sure as hell would not take him before Travis Kelce. There's no way Travis Kelce would go ahead in front of this guy.
Yeah, he should not. No. Absolutely not. No.
In fact, I don't even know if I take Travis Kelce in front of the next 2 players in our average one. Zeke, and I'm bullish on Zeke, beating up on him, but in front of Zeke or Tyreek. So I would take him in front of his teammate, Aaron Jones. That's about it.
Yeah, so when I put the notes together for this, my
Devontae's.
thought, I threw in there Kelce as an example, but if you put him in the same breath as Tyreek Hill, he's a full, so Devontae Adams is right around 7, and Tyreek Hill is closer to 11, 12. They should be a lot closer, and I don't think Hill necessarily should go up. I think Devontae should go down to be in the same draft area, if you will, together. I just think he's too far ahead of the guys that are in the same area as him.
Devontae had what last year?
I think Devontae had 18 touchdowns, right?
Which is huge, but what was his PPR? How many receptions did he have? Because we're doing a half point. A lot of people play a full point. And if you're not doing either one of those, you're a fool.
Yeah, that's the point, especially
You are a big statement from Jimmer over there. You
he
are
had
a fool.
115 receptions.
No, I'm not saying Danny's a fool about the not about that. I'm just saying if you play any other fantasy league that doesn't.
Well, I'm saying Danny's a fool. Get Kelce here.
So last year,
Just to be clear.
last year, if you don't have it on you, it's 115 receptions.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. And then 1,374 yards, 18 touchdowns, and he's a target monster on top of that. So there's no doubt in my mind. And the only thing that ever creaks into my mind when it comes to Devontae is I don't know if he's ever finished a full season. He misses at least one game. So you're gonna lose him probably for a game, especially going to a 17-game season now too. So you may lose a couple of them. But besides that, if you're a receiver guy first in the first round, that is exactly where he should be going. And then Tyreek could probably go up. I do agree with you. Tyreek should be like butted up right against him. That's like a flip flop of which way you want to go.
Yeah, the touchdowns are what separate Devontae, right? 18 touchdowns. Nobody came close to that. So you said if you're a receiver guy in the first round, that's where you pick him. So if you are at the 7th-ish pick, are you drafting Devontae Adams?
I am not, because I hate the Packers. I know that's a stupid pick, but I just told you there are 2 players I would take ahead of him. They're right there too. I would take Zeke before that.
Rio?
Yeah.
Before Kelsey is what I'm saying. But
me too. So running back and we've gotten to an age where you don't lean on one guy as much. It's a stable of backs, or it's 1 and 2, and you don't want to wear down a guy, and you see a lot more teams doing that. So I think in the first round you're looking for a running back, unless you go a Devontae Adams that early. For me, Kelsey, he's going to have to go closer to 10 to the 12 range, or get him at the flip, when you go almost back-to-back, because I think with fantasy, you got to get one of those running backs that, gets the ball a lot, or you go wide receiver, somebody that can consistently produce, and it goes, so in our league, we also play with 3 wide receivers, so I think you kind of want one of those guys as well.
Yeah, in your first 2 rounds, you definitely it's hard to pass up. It's hard to pass up on a receiver. Definitely the first 3 rounds.
Right.
So what you're saying at that point though is if you take a Kelsey, which someone will, and I'm not knocking that they do or whatever, but
because he will produce.
If you take and he's usually pretty damn close to far and above the rest. I mean, there's one Waller, which we'll talk about here in a little while, but other than that, he's far and above the rest. So the other 11 teams in the league are chasing you at one position for sure. But especially in our style, if you grab a tight end right out of the gate, and then you go running back because you passed up a running back in the first round, now you probably have to take a receiver in the 3rd round.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't want that mess. Last year we had a 10-man team, so it's a little bit different, right? I do believe we ran 10 guys.
We had 12 last year.
So
no, we didn't.
Okay.
We had 10.
Okay.
Yeah, we had 10.
Which made it more depthful. We had more choice. Real quick before you go, Tyreek Hill had 28 less receptions than Devontae Adams. He had 87 for less than 1,300 yards, but he did have 15 touchdowns, which is still 3 less than him.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't as close as both me and you were just saying. Maybe Tyreek is that much. I mean, he's special. I mean, he's ridiculous, but maybe he's not as close as like a Devontae. Devontae's that much further above. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I just I don't like Kelsey where he's going at 8. I think instead I would take an Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb. They have right there. I like those guys.
I didn't even bring up Nick Chubb.
That's crazy. That's
Nick
crazy
Chubb.
to me.
I would take.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would definitely. I think Zeke. I think he's been a little bit overvalued. I do like him. I think he has a big bounce back year. But I like some of those other guys that are going before him. Jonathan Taylor, I think I like a little bit better. Nick Chubb, I like better than him as well.
They have Zeke going 8, and I wrote in my notes, going in front of Chubb, Jones, and Taylor is insane to me.
Right.
I'm not well
in front of Taylor does make sense. I can see that, but Chubb and Jones, man, yeah.
And you can make an argument for Danny's guy Eckler when Eckler's healthy.
Yeah,
he's a PPR monster too.
Not for me. There, I would take Zeke over that, but
the name will make you do it. That and your fan,
I get that, but I think even for myself, I'd take Zeke before Eckler.
Well, I think that's the most interesting thing to me is right at the end of this first round. What do we got? 4 or 5 running backs: Jones, Taylor, Chubb, Eckler. I mean, that's a beautiful turn if you wanted to go running back.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
set. All those guys are going to do great.
Oh, let's also not forget that in our draft we will have a quarterback taken up there.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is going to go in the first round, I think.
Yeah, maybe even 2. So these guys may fall even a little bit more.
It always happens in our draft. Somebody jumps on Patrick Mahomes. They have him going here 19th, late second. He will go in the first round, if not right at the turn.
For context, we do have 6-point passing touchdowns in our league. But for me, that still isn't enough.
No, that's so high.
Yeah.
When you look at who you could
That's
be getting
crazy.
in
Right.
the same range, Antonio Gibson, Metcalf, Ridley.
Right, exactly.
I'm doing that and then taking another quarterback.
Yep.
That's
Calvin Ridley there.
We were talking earlier, too, so
crazy.
we had an interesting little conversation just before we started here, and I think we made it official. We're not gonna roll out a kicker this year. I think that's one of the dumbest things that actually does happen. There's no science in picking a damn kicker. Picking a kicker is, hey, does this guy play on a good enough team that they move the ball and get within field goal, but not good enough to put it in the end zone, so we get field goals, but also their defense is good enough to keep the other team in the hunt of that, so that field goals can still keep getting kicked. I mean, that's the science of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's nothing to that shit.
And there's so many teams based on the stats, right, that are going for two. You know what I mean? Just for the sake of they know if they get the two, they're more likely to win that whole situation. So it's difficult. Now, 10 years ago, when the extra point was guaranteed, you're like, okay, I just have to focus on a high-powered offense. I'm going to get 7 to 14 points or whatever from my kicker every week. It's tough. I'm not against it. I don't really have a side that I'm choosing on that. I'm okay with not having a kicker
You don't
for
have
sure.
stock in either one.
Yeah.
Yep. What do you got there? You're sitting there all bashful with your Dicker the Kicker jersey.
Yeah, Dicker the Kicker, man. Hook 'em horns.
Hook him down.
Yeah, kicker, not a big deal. A couple of years ago, I was bad like I normally am, and Harrison Butker was, one of my solid 17 points a game, baby.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm a little impartial to that. But, taking a kicker out's fine. We also are playing with 3 wide receivers, so that's going to help. You're going to gonna see that production. Whatever. Removing that kicker is going to be fine.
So let's talk about that. You were talking about that tweener, or the end of the first, beginning part of the second, that wave of running backs right there. Which one are you taking over between Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, and Austin Eckler?
Man, it's interesting. They've got Jones closer to second round. I said Jones. They have got Nick Chubb as a second round pick.
Yeah.
On average,
In 12 man.
That is
or in both, actually.
in
It don't
both,
matter.
actually,
In 10
yeah.
and 12.
That is crazy, and I am thinking I'm taking him at 4.
Yeah,
and
myself.
why wouldn't you? And
Yeah.
nobody for once in your life would not make fun of you.
Right.
Get out of
You
here.
know?
So he.
2 back-to-back thirds, baby. What's up?
That's where I would lean. I think is Chubb, and if I did RB back to back, I think I'd go Chubb and Eckler. But with Diggs right there too, it's tough to say how I go. But I think Chubb is where I'd lean to start.
No, I just mean purely out of running backs. Let's say you
Yeah.
grabbed one, like what, and Diggs, someone pulled him ahead. Which running back would you pull out of those 4?
Chubb.
Okay.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
Chubb.
I think Chubb is probably that one. Let's say we
Chubb,
take Chubb
yeah.
out of that. Let's say he does go 4. Let's say he
Okay.
goes 4 to Chris, right?
And you got
Yeah.
Jones,
And then
Taylor,
me
Eckler
and you were going there at the end. Tyler is
What do
at
you
the
mean?
end. No. What are you talking about?
I'm 12. What do you mean you're at the end?
Yeah, you're at the
No,
end.
I
What do
said
you mean?
imagine me and you were both
yeah,
at
I
the
gotcha.
end.
Oh, okay.
Good Lord.
Okay.
Now, I think it's Tyler and you at the end. Which one? Which one are you taking? No Chubb. He's getting taken at 4.
Man, it's tough. I get Jonathan Taylor and Austin Eckler. I think are the next 2 in line for me. I'm not. Aaron Jones will be fine. I'm just not going to go there.
Are you going?
That is strictly because he's a Vikings fan.
It could. Yeah,
it could
there's
quite
definitely
possibly
that,
be,
yeah.
and that's called loyalty, baby.
Yeah.
That being said, are you going running back there?
I haven't completely decided.
I know it depends on how it falls. I'm just saying, if
Yeah.
it kind of looks like where it's right here, are you going running back? Are you thinking about Diggsy?
Yeah, potentially, because then if I'm looking at where my next pick is right around, 36, I could still end up with Robert Woods, Amari Cooper. But is that going to be enough? Strength in the wide receiver end for my number 1 wide receiver? I don't know. Potentially, though. I haven't made a firm decision on that. But so let's act like Nick Chubb isn't there.
Yep.
Man, it's tight between Jonathan Taylor and Eckler. Man, I think Jonathan Taylor is the move on that one. I think Eckler is he's touchdown limited. He is a PPR monster, but Yeah, I think I lean Jonathan Taylor right there at the end of the first, early second.
Okay. So I did mark down in some notes here on Diggs, speaking of which. The lack of touchdowns here may be a small concern with only 8. But that being said, Josh Allen has an eye for this guy. Even on a run play, this guy has an eye on him. You know, just he's like, oh shit, we're going to go ahead and kick it out over here. So, the touchdowns are kind of a little scary for a wide receiver one. I would love to have Stephon Diggs as my number 2. I don't think that would happen because you would be losing out on a running back, but those touchdowns are a little scary, or lack thereof.
Yeah. Definitely.
Man, Diggs is
Well, we touched on
target monster too.
You get a-
166 targets last year. That
Oh
is-
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
so
I think I do believe he led the NFL. So,
in targets, yeah.
to touch on Aaron Jones a little bit, I don't know. I don't understand why no one wants him on his team, on their team. I don't want to be on there because I'm a Viking guy. But quite honestly, that'd be stupid if he for some reason he fell all the way down to the late second, and that won't happen. But
Yeah.
what I'm getting at though is look out for AJ Dillon taking a few reps away from him though, because that dude runs like a man. You know, he's going to get reps. They've done nothing but hype him up now. I think he's picking up the block a little bit, which is huge, especially when you have old A-Rod right next to you. You better be able to pick up a goddamn block, otherwise it'll be the last time you touch the field.
True.
Yeah, I think, though, you just paid your running back. He's going to get a bunch of carries, right?
Yep. So an interesting one I'm big on Antonio Gibson, which is also that kind of beginning part of the second, mid-second. I think he has a bust-out campaign potential. Last year he showed little spurts of it, and I think he does kick. I think he kicks the door down this year. I mean, everything is always barring health, but we take that out of it, and I think we're seeing we could see a 1,300 plus yard rusher, 10 plus touchdowns. And he has hands too. I mean, he isn't like he isn't Dalvin or Kamara or anything like that, but he's more than serviceable catching the ball out of the backfield.
So where he sits in ADP, is that about where you are in the second round?
No, I am the second overall pick, so that would be.
So you're late second.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'd be 24.
Go ahead and let us know who you taking.
2.
Yeah.
So if he, you know what, he leaves it my way either which way. So I can't lose, in my opinion. I can't lose in that pick, because someone takes that pick out of my hands,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that. So whoever he takes, I'm taking the other one. So if he takes Christian McCaffrey, it's going to be Dalvin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
If he takes Dalvin Cook, I'm taking Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I don't think there's the only one that's ever crossed my mind, besides those two. Like if he took Dalvin, and if I wanted to talk myself out of Christian McCaffrey, the only other one I was thinking about is Derrick Henry. And I do think about the where, but I just don't think he's
Lots
there
of
yet.
mileage there.
Yeah, I just don't think he's there yet. I think we're still talking about beast mode years for at least a couple more. So I just want to. I'd love to ride that train, but I'm not passing up on Dalvin if he's there, and I'm not passing up on Christian McCaffrey if he's there. So
Yep.
we do have shortly after Antonio Gibson. This is where Patrick Mahomes is supposed to go, right? And first off, he's going to be taken first in our draft, or in the first round in our draft. There's no doubt about that by somebody.
Yeah, I think somebody snatches him up.
And it's not, and I'm not saying it's a horrible pick, because this is a guy that could throw 50 touchdowns, and like I just said, that's 6 points a touchdown, and he's gonna throw for a bunch of yards. Their run game isn't exactly proven. But that being said, drafting a quarterback, even Mahomes here, is way too early, in my opinion. I'm a quarterback waiter anyway, but this is
definitely too early for a quarterback for me. I think there's plenty of other options out there because where they have them second half of that second round. I mean, you're still looking for some other guys that are going to produce all year. I mean, look, they're Joe Mixon, Antonio Gibson could probably maybe be around that range. Obviously, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Scary Terry McLaurin. So there's some other value there that I think you need to be looking for instead of quarterback that early.
Yeah, agreed. Especially
I think
when
you shoot yourself in the foot a little bit if you go in that 1 and 2 round with a quarterback. You kind of cap your team. So, one, obviously you're grabbing a good quarterback, but running backs are going to run out real quick. Ones that can put up potentially 20 points a game for you, right?
Yep.
I think quarterback Patrick Mahomes is going to be a stud, put up a bunch of points, but I think too early.
Yeah, especially when you look at the quarterbacks that are getting, even if you wanted to go relatively early for quarterbacks, so 5th, 6th round, you could still get Justin Herbert, Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
That's solid. And then looking later, which is more realistic, 8th to 10th. I mean, Stafford is going to blow up this year. He's going to do fine, right? Tannehill is got more weapons. There's just, if you can get somebody like Ridley that early and go with one of these other quarterbacks later, I think you're going to be in a better spot.
I think a perfect thought process on that by grabbing Mahomes or whatever quarterback this early, are they going to be that much of difference between scoring between them and, let's say, a 5th round quarterback, okay? Then what the difference will be between you passing up on the running back and the next running back you're able to take. Is there going to be that? Can he cover that difference? Because that's what you need. You're passing up on one, so you need to be able to cover that difference plus some,
Yeah, 100%. Especially, like you said, you gave the example 5th, 6th round. So right now, it looks like that would be Tom Brady. Him and Patty Mahomes last year were very similar across the board, statistically, fantasy-wise. So
Right, I think he's a much safer pick than he has been in the past.
Yeah.
Besides, when he went off that year and they set all them records, but I think in the past few years down at the Patriots, they didn't have that wide receiving core there, so it was kind of scary to take him. Even you probably didn't even want him in fantasy.
Who's that?
Tom Brady
Okay.
in his later years with the Patriots.
Yep.
But now with all those weapons there, I think you take him no problem. In that range you're talking about, perfect. Especially if you're waiting on a quarterback.
Is there anyone that competes with you with Patrick Mahomes? Like if they were literally side by side, doesn't matter the round, side by side, are you taking Patrick Mahomes first no matter what?
maybe I'm tempted to say Josh Allen.
I know. That's exactly what I was trying to hint at. Because what'd that man do for you last year?
Yeah, I mean, he won me a championship last year. Yeah. Him and Travis Kelce, who I drafted in the
lots
first
of
round.
points.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is my clear cut one. Allen definitely number 2.
Hey, did you gain a number 2 wide receiver because of another dude that did the dum dum though?
Yeah. See, so it worked both ways.
So would you have been there?
You did do that.
I did do that. I did the
forgot.
dum dum.
Go ahead and tell them what you did.
I dropped Justin Jefferson, and they weren't playing. They weren't starting him. Damn it!
Oh my goodness!
And I was like,
you heard that right.
I know I needed something. I'm like, God damn it! I did drop him, and then
that right.
I produced Danny with his to make up for his fuck up in the first round with Travis Kelce. I gave him a number 1 receiver. So
yeah, and we're not. We'll touch on waiver wire stuff later, but it was so huge for me to pay attention to the waiver wire last year. I picked up Jefferson. My running backs were in bad shape. Fuller ended up getting suspended. There was a lot of issues, and
that one hurt.
The waiver wire definitely kept me going. But
kept you alive, son.
That's a good call out. Yeah, I think
do a championship.
Josh Allen is, even if you think he takes a step back because he had such a great year, they are so tailored to passing the ball and using him to his strength, similar like what Baltimore does, right, with Jackson, that he's going to be great. And he's drafted, a decent amount later. Still too early, but he's drafted later.
Yeah, but still later. But I'm just saying, created equally. You have them all lined up right there. Whatever round you would be okay taking a quarterback. Possibility of Allen. What about Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers, you guys both predicted would have a huge year, MVP-esque season. Why wouldn't you take him before either one of those boys then?
Well, for Allen, a lot of it's the running too, right?
That and he carried you to championship, but take your personal stuff out.
Obviously. I'm just saying. I don't have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem if you had Rodgers, but I think if we were going tiers, I think it's Mahomes and Josh Allen for fantasy, and Rodgers is
I have
right
Rodgers
there,
at
but
3.
under. Yeah.
Rodgers would be my probably 3rd quarterback, I think. I think he's going to have a great year.
So all of them right there for you to take, no matter what round. It would be in that order then. Mahomes, Allen,
and Rodgers.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
Agreed. Okay.
Yep. Do you feel different?
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, I would not. It would not hurt my. I may even flip a quarter in the first two. You know, first of all, I'm not. We've already made it clear. I'm not taking Aaron Rodgers. That shit is not going to happen. So those other two, I may actually half flip a coin. You know, but I think they're similar in so many ways. You know, I mean, Josh Allen has a way stronger arm than Mahomes. I'm gonna go ahead and make that very clear.
All right, let us know, Chiefs fans.
Yeah. That's exactly why I'm saying that, because we keep hearing that. Josh Allen said he's ready to do this contest with him. Who can throw further? You know, who hasn't sacked up? Mahomes, just saying. But that being said, their offenses are created pretty close to equally. They do the same thing. They lean so heavily on their pass run ability or scramble ability. I'm not even talking about running to be like running back-esque. What I'm talking about is extending the play and making something happen. They're both pretty damn similar. The only difference is probably what? In the winter, 20 degrees difference.
Sure. So here, this is where I'm going to look at supporting cast, and that's where Kelsey, Hill, who is it, Hardman. That's where I'm going to look at those guys and just give him the nod, Mahomes the nod, to be my QB1 myself. So that's why I'd go him number one. I wouldn't flip that coin.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good comparison between the two teams, though, because they both have good running backs as well, but they pass so much and rely so heavily on that there's no fantasy value, really, at least not great fantasy value with running backs on either team. So that's a really good comparison.
Yeah. So what I was also looking at here was, where are we at there? Okay. So what I was looking at here, and before I start saying this, I'm going to make it very clear that I am a Calvin Ridley guy. I had him last year. He's a damn special receiver. He's not going to he carried my team in a lot of ways, like when and what I mean is my receiving core. Like when my other ones are kind of like, lay there, and here comes my boy Ridley, 150 yards, 3 touchdowns. And I think he's going to be just fine, but I also you have him marked on here as Ridley seems way too low here. He should be above Metcalf in the area of Diggs, at least. I have one area of concern, and that is there is no Julio there. So Kyle Pitts better take some of the double coverage off of Ridley, which he will see this year without Julio on the other side. I think that's something that also needs to be looked at. But that being said, hell of a special player. That I don't think he's not Julio-esque because Julio can jump out of the gym too. So, but if you're passing the torch from one wide receiver to another, I mean, there's been very few that have made that to where it looks really, really good. And one of them was Chris Carter to Randy Moss, but I do like the Calvin. I do like Calvin Ridley. I'm just saying, kind of temper yourself a little bit because he is going to see double coverage unless Kyle Pitts, which I think we all expect to kick the door open and be special. But
yeah,
well, I mean, Russell Gage, right, is going to relieve some pressure too. My thought on the reason I even kind of put that in the notes here, I think their offense is going to be a ton better. He was very good, like you said. He carried you quite a bit last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I compare him to Metcalf. So Metcalf we're looking at 3 picks, 4 picks higher than where Ridley's going. I don't think Seattle's offense is going to be as great as we want, unless there's a lot of comeback games, maybe some garbage points.
DK has what he doesn't, though. DK has another wide receiver that they need to fear in Tyler Lockett.
That's fair.
Tyler Lockett is not Russell Gage. Russell Gage wishes he was Tyler Lockett. So they have weapons there in Seattle. Their offense isn't going to be what necessarily hurts them. They're going to be chasing from behind, I believe, like we talked about with Seattle. I think their defense is what's kind of going to hurt them a little bit. They're not. It's nowhere near what they used to be. So what I'm getting at is DK Metcalf has that other guy over there. You can't double, triple team that guy. You can do that to Ridley unless Kyle Pitts does it. Russell Gage isn't going to do anything. Russell Gage is just a slot receiver, and he's a good one. But he's not so much that you're sitting there worried about Russell Gage versus the other way around. That's what I'm getting at.
No, yeah, you're right.
I get that.
I know I'm right a lot.
Not very often.
You're
no.
misinformed all the time.
Yeah.
So the next topic, we don't need to bounce around too much here, but I want to make sure we touch on Darren Waller. So he's going right in the late second. And we all know Jimmer's not a big fan of getting tight ends this early.
Hell no.
So my thought was if Travis Kelce is getting ADP-wise, if he's getting drafted in the first round, early in the first round, or I guess maybe middle of the first round, Darren Waller should be way closer to ADP than, to Travis Kelce than he is. I just think he's going to get a ton of targets. They're not good. They're not talented anywhere. He's going to get all the targets. I think he's going to blow up this year. That's my opinion on Waller. If you're going to draft him, he should be closer to Kelce.
It's not a blow up if he's already blown up, man. He was
he carried your
crazy.
team.
Yeah, he was going crazy for my team.
We all had
Yeah.
our guy that kind of helped boost our team, and that was definitely Chris's. Darren Waller did do stuff like that.
He was a stud.
I think he's perfectly placed, though.
Yeah.
As in, not in the round. I think because the tight ends are way too soon, but
Yeah.
I think Travis Kelce is the only player on this team, which I was about to bring up on this list, that is Kelce-esque or better is Kittle. Kittle, barring injury, is better or the same as Kelce, in my opinion. So Waller is a target machine, but I think that changes, in my opinion, a little bit this year because I believe Bryan Edwards is going to take a step forward. Their rookie wide receiver from last year. And Josh Jacobs can be a huge part of that offense too. So if the targets are heavily towards Waller again, that team will do the same thing they did last year, if not worse. They will be dog shit. When they were at Waller, they were chasing from behind. That's why. Also, we went to the Viking game. You seen that, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings were stomped them out. Next time we look up, Waller. Next time we look up, he had 15 catches and 100 and some odd yards because they're playing catch up the whole time. So I'm not in fantasy 100%. I agree. They should be close. I think they're perfectly placed. So they're only, 12 picks away from each other. And I still think both the tight ends are still too high. But
Right.
I've already stated that. I don't think they're that far away though.
Yeah, I see they have Justin Jefferson going around the same spot. I take Justin Jefferson over Waller there. I think he's a baller.
Yeah.
And Joe Mixon, too, being
So
this
Joe
low.
Mixon is.
Mixon.
I think he's going to be a good bounce back candidate. I like him. I hope to get him. Got to be the right situation there. But he's definitely
O-line.
better O line.
Better O-line.
You get your quarterback. All his receivers. I think there's going to be a ton of talent on that offensive side of the ball. Don't shy away from Joe Mixon. He's played behind a real bad O-line. He's had a few bang-ups, but I think he bounces back this year. Does well for somebody.
Too many weapons on that team for him not to succeed now. And the O-line got a little bit better.
Especially with all the wide receivers. I think
and Joe Burrow, as long as he stays healthy, man. Oh, man.
I think that could be – and that, they're one of my picks to do well this year and really bounce back. And I think it starts here. If you can keep the defense off the field, move the ball, which I think they should be able to do, all-around better offense, I like him.
I want to bring up, we kind of touched on it a little bit, Justin Jefferson. I'm huge on him, and I handed him to you in a gift wrap bag last year.
Gift wrap bag.
But interesting stat I read when I was breaking this stuff down a little earlier today. 0 touchdowns on the road last year. I don't believe this will happen again, but last year he had 7 touchdowns, all of them at home. I think we're undervaluing him more than any one of these, because I honestly think he should be more up there. When we were talking about the DK Metcalf, I think he should be up there in that DK Metcalf-esque area, just because there's other weapons that he's not going to be targeted. You have Adam Thielen. Yes, you're missing Irv Smith Jr. now, but people are kind of sleeping on Tyler Conklin. He's more than serviceable as a tight end. Then you have Dalvin Cook back there. You have DD. We touched on DD Westbrook and KJ Osborne, like I was stating. I think we'll bust out.
But you're speaking, and from that standpoint, you're speaking of just because you like the Vikings. Nobody knows who the hell they are.
Why wouldn't they? That's the reason why we're talking about.
You got the 3 guys that you're looking for: Justin Jefferson, Thielen, and Dalvin Cook,
and Kirk Cousins, your MVP.
So
MVP.
you gotta, that's who he's competing with targets for. The other guys are just
Right.
whoever.
That's my point. I don't. If you don't want any of that other conversation, he's not competing for targets.
Right,
They
he's gonna get plenty of looks.
they help relieve taking guys off of him. So in my opinion, you should bring him up to DK's level.
I don't think so because I think there's
Because what,
that's
he's
not
faster?
no, because that's not enough targets. It's not like
He-
I think he's
Hold on.
exactly where
I
he
knew
should
I
be.
knew you would debate me on this. So let's go ahead and bring up what I had here. I'm using Pro Football Reference. Use this quite a bit. It's it's an awesome thing. I don't know if you guys have or not, but I like it. So you take out the first 2 games, right? Because he wasn't starting. Zimmer was stupid. We already talked about that. In 14 games, he had 83 receptions, 1,330 yards, and the 7 touchdowns. So every game he started. So what I'm telling you is that first off, if he would have had those other 2, he would have been over 100 catches. His targets were 119, and that's before he started the first 2. So I guess I'm confused on what you're talking about targets. I think he gets more targets than DK Metcalf because Tyler Lockett actually takes more targets away from DK than the other way around.
Sitting right exactly where he should be.
Well, that's the
You-
reason why
you
you
got
battle.
three-
That's the reason why you battle for third.
You got 3 weapons. Hey, I'm not the one who dropped him to somebody else.
And I
didn't
still ended
drop
up,
him.
and I still ended up in second.
So
That's how good my team is, baby.
yeah. So I think he's sitting right at the right spot. That late second round, first half, third. Behind the other guys. Just for myself, I see DeAndre definitely ahead of him. Metcalf definitely ahead of him. But late second round's not bad.
So
I
we were
think.
talking.
My more surprise is Calvin Ridley being behind DK Metcalf. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Jimmer, so you think he's going to get more touchdowns? That's what held him back last year. If anything held him back, he only had 7 touchdowns, right?
Oh yeah, easily. If you want to put me on the books, 14 touchdowns, easy.
Okay, so here's
yeah.
where this comes into play. So if you say that, I don't disagree. I think Jefferson's going to be better this year. I'm obviously with you on that. That's going to take away from Adam Thielen because that's the reason. So Thielen is a red zone target machine for Cousins. He gets those touchdowns. He makes those amazing catches, right? So Thielen had 14 touchdowns. He took that area of the field away from Jefferson last year. So if you're saying that, either you think we're going to add 7 touchdowns roughly, right, to what we do, or that's going to be taken away from Thielen, and Thielen drops from the 4th round to like the late 6th or something like that.
No. So when I said Tyler Conklin would be more than serviceable, let's go ahead and rewind a little bit. He is not going to be Irv Smith. Irv Smith, I was predicting at least 10 touchdowns. Tyler Conklin might get 5. There's 5 right there. There's 5 of your touchdowns that you were curious about right there. Then on top of that, Kyle Rudolph is not there, who was also there last year, right? So there's your touchdowns that you're kind of missing. I don't think Thielen is going to put up 14. I think that's what he put up last year, if I remember correctly.
That's
Is that
correct.
right?
Yep.
So I don't think he's going to put up 14. I think he dips a little bit, and when I mean a little bit, he'll go down to 12. But it also all ties in together with my super awesome MVP pick. You can't be the MVP without a ridiculous amount without ridiculous numbers and a winning record, right? We already said that. So all I'm saying is that Kirk Cousins is going to throw for at least 40 touchdowns. And there's going to be your gap right there. I think you can still have both of them in double digits. I'm just predicting Jefferson to hit the 14 mark.
Okay. Got it. So going down the list here, I mean, George Kittle's all the way down. Do you think that's still too high for a tight end? First half of the 3rd?
Yeah.
Okay.
That one is a hell of a lot better value. So what he can be, then you just like I just stated a little bit ago, he's the same thing, if not better than Travis Kelce. So now you get him at that. Let's put him at the same. We won't even try to stir the pot and say he's better, but you're getting that from a 3rd round pick potentially as a 1st round, right? Because I mean they already took Kelce in the 1st. So I mean it's not horrible. Mine's a little different, and what I mean by that is I do believe my 3rd round is like, I wrap around on the 2nd pick of the 3rd round. I wouldn't. You're at the back of the 3rd on that one, Danny.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame you for taking that man in back of the third. I mean, you're gonna be third, fourth round anyway. So,
Yeah.
I did want to tell you. So, I don't know which receiving core I actually like more. So we're gonna go back a little bit. We were talking about the Chiefs and Josh Allen and the same type of system.
Sure.
So I think this receiving core is even better than theirs
Who's
all around. The Bills,
who's receiving core?
than the Chiefs.
The Bills is?
Yes.
Really?
So let me tell you who they got here. They have. Let's go down. They have Stephon Diggs, of course. Emmanuel Sanders, which that isn't a bad number 2. I mean, even at his older age now, that still isn't bad. That's already beating out what Mecole Hardman will show you spark touchdown every once in a while. You're not starting him consistently at any point, and if you are, there's no receivers open and you're in injury trouble. You have Gabriel Davis, who did just fine last year too. In fact, they're projecting him for 60 receptions and 780 yards and 6 touchdowns. Then they have Measley Beasley. So little Cole Beasley. I mean, they every other week that he'll be available with his COVID stance and not wearing anything.
Right.
But they're still projecting him for 85 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And I assume that's him not missing any games. So, I'm just saying do they have like Dawson Knox as their tight end? And I mean, trust me, I think they have more weapons than the Chiefs. The Chiefs have 2 really stellar ones. They have the top tight end of the game behind Kittle. They have Tyreek Hill. But is Tyreek Hill better than? Is he really better than Stephon Diggs? I mean, besides outside, take speed out of it. We already looked at the rest of the stats on it. So I think the weapons are face to face, and especially if they. I guess it'll depend on where they play when they do meet each other, or we project them to meet each other, right? I think we all had them in the AFC Championship game.
Yep.
So depending on where that game is played,
Yeah, I think
who wins that game.
I think you're right. I think it depends on how you look at it. So the Chiefs are top heavy on receiver core, right?
Yep.
The 2, they're going to get 90% of the targets, scores, everything like that.
They did lose. Sammy Watkins too. So that might have been a little bit of instability. I understand he wasn't there very often, but it was stability.
But they don't. No matter who's in that third role, they don't use it. They don't do much with it unless they happen. Like you said, you get a random spark.
And
right?
I agree with you. So one thing I didn't touch on, I guess, and I don't think it really matters who is there, but their third wide receiver is their running back. No matter who it is, it doesn't matter if it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire or whoever they pick up off the street, outside of Le'Veon Bell's bum ass. So outside of that, I mean, every other running back they bring in, they turn into what looks like a Pro Bowler until they go somewhere else, right?
Right.
Unless you're Le'Veon, like I just so eloquently put. So it isn't a bad. That's their system, though. But actual all around, I would take the weapons of the Bills over theirs.
Yeah, I think you could say that about a lot of teams, like Rio's Cowboys, right? They might have, all things considered, they might have the best receiving core in the league, right? You could look at, like we talked about,
Three
the
wide
Bengals
sets, yeah.
are good, like on receiver. Like there's a lot of teams that have multiple guys. Obviously the Bucks, but it depends on how you look at it, man. The top heavy, because obviously the Chiefs are the most top heavy. But yeah, that's a fair point. So as we're looking at this kind of early in the third round there, Kansas City running back, Mr. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Personally, I think this is a little high. I don't think they use their running back enough, and he doesn't get the touches or the touchdowns, to be honest with you. I'm a little high on him in that area. I don't know how you two feel, but
I think they only have one running back. I mean, Darrell Williams shows flashes, but it's going to be they drafted him that high. They got to try to make him work. I think they're going to give him all the opportunity to do so. I think last year he's learning the offense. COVID season, you didn't have your training camp. I'm not really big on him. Don't get me wrong. I just mean the volume will be there, and I'm not saying about full blown carries because I think they're pass the ball a lot. But he's a pass catching back too. So
yeah, I'm taking David Montgomery probably over him.
Okay.
Here, I like him better. I think eventually, right, they go to Justin Fields, take pressure off your young quarterback by running the ball, and being committed to trying to run the ball. So I'd take Montgomery over him. right here. So I would rather see that flip-flopped. Edwards-Helaire closer to the late third, top of that fourth round maybe, especially if you're one of those guys who jumped, back into the draft and maybe you went wide, top wide receiver, tight end, or, one of those guys are going to grab a quarterback. Maybe you get a quarterback wide receiver duo. So I could see him going there later on.
They did have so I don't dislike the Montgomery one. Week 11 through 17 was a monster for him versus lesser defenses though. So let's remember that part. That was Green Bay twice, Texans, Vikings, Lions, and Jags. But all that being said, you still need to run the rock. No matter if you're playing, there's still men up on the line. So he did have 116 carries for 598 yards and seven touchdowns in that time frame. He had 24 receptions, 226 yards, and a touchdown also. So I do like him more than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If they were stacked right next to each other and I needed a running back, I think I would go David Montgomery actually. Yeah.
Yeah, Rio, that was a great swap. I think that's a perfect swap. Actually, I would definitely take.
Would you take David Montgomery over James Robinson?
Yes, because
who has the job himself also?
I was gonna say they got something going on there, and he's got a battle for that job this year, I believe. So I know Edney went out. However you say his name.
ETN.
Yeah, he's out of there. They had a couple other backs there though. So COVID hit one of their backs pretty.
Don't they have Carlos Hyde there?
Carlos Hyde is there, serviceable.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So I think there's potential for him to have some fallback off of a great year that he had last year. So I'm still taking Montgomery there.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm telling you now,
even though I know they go run heavy, probably protect Trevor Lawrence.
If you're getting CD, I'm going to tell you right now because the name right underneath that for draft is CD Lamb. If you're getting CD Lamb in the fourth,
yes,
even though he is nowhere near as good as Justin Jefferson, I'd be ecstatic.
See, that's when we're
I'm being serious. So I'd be ecstatic if CD Lamb was. That's where I got him. I would feel more than comfortable going, running back, and CD being my number one, I guess. I mean, then I'd go wide receiver heavy at that point, but God,
yeah.
That wouldn't hurt your feelings. Him leading your receiver room and on your fantasy team.
Yeah, big year for CD. I think is coming. We've got him stacked pretty close in ADP to Mike Evans. Who do you take, CD or Mike Evans?
CD.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, I'm taking CD Lamb.
I think
for sure.
I think the wide receiver to have, and even the second wide receiver to have in that offense. The first one is going to be, and he's kind of somewhere in that same ballpark, Chris Godwin. It's going in the second half of the fourth to late fourth. I would take Chris Godwin over Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans, we're going by name now.
Yeah.
So when he's up higher than that, I think Chris Godwin does it all. He has the receptions, he has the yards, he has the touchdowns. The second one I would take even before Mike Evans right now, I'm huge on Mike Evans, always have been. I think he's a great player, is Antonio Brown. Just like I said earlier about Josh Allen always having one eye on Stephon Diggs. Tom Brady always has an eye on Antonio Brown. I don't know if that's to keep Antonio Brown's demons out of his head or what the scenario is, but he does. He keeps his eye on him, and he only had one or two games with New England with him, but he's been always. And then when he comes to Tampa, he's trying to make him fit, and I think he continues to do that. He has a lot of faith in him. So I think the second wide receiver to have there still isn't Mike Evans. I think it's Antonio Brown too. I mean, I like Mike Evans, so this isn't a shot at him, but
yeah. So keep on heading down into the early fourth. You got Chris Carson, Josh Jacobs sitting there back to back. Miles Sanders kind of in that fourth round as well. Who you taking between the three?
Man, probably, I guess, unfortunately, I might lean towards Miles Sanders. Josh Jacobs is a beast. I've had him, I think, in the last few years, actually, in fantasy. Mm-hmm. He definitely gets the carries. I don't know if he's going to be able to do much with them this year. Mm-hmm. Miles Sanders can do a little bit more. I think they're going to have to use him in different situations. I think it'd probably lean towards Sanders here.
I heavily lean towards Chris Carson.
Yeah, I like Chris Carson a little better here because Eagles
health is the only thing that deters me.
Yeah, health is a question mark there, but they've shown they'll give him the rock. Miles Sanders, even though He's a stud out there. Boston Scott did so well in his absence that they've shown they'll consistently, even when Miles Sanders come back, they're going to give him the ball, give him his chances. 'Cause he ran well. So that kind of scares me there. I would take Chris Carson, probably Miles Sanders, and Josh Jacobs. I think it's going to be a really bad Raiders team, and they're not going to be able to do much except through Waller.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, too, late fourth, man. I like that. Like I said, going to be a breakout player for myself. Julio, early fifth. What do you think? That's where he's going. That's crazy.
Luckily, us seeing that is people actually taking the name out of it for once. Now, Julio before this year has always been boom or bust. I've had him on a team. I've had him on a couple teams. I've had him fall to me, and I'm like, God, I just wanted somebody else to take him because you can't. It's very hard to pass on him. If you can make it through the regular season in fantasy with him on your roster, he could literally win you a championship himself because he has like those 3-game bursts. That's just stupid, ridiculous, breaking NFL records type stuff. I think this is actually perfectly placed and possibly too high. Plenty of mouths to feed in run-based offense, but it will benefit Henry. You grab that stacked box out of there because you have to still respect Julio. So I'm not trying to take a complete shot at him, but I think it helps Henry. I think it helps AJ Brown more than anything around, and that I think it'll help Tannehill. But Julio, if I had to throw a number out there, I'd say probably he may get more touchdowns than he ever did in Atlanta. I will say that. Seeing maybe 8 touchdowns, but somewhere in the ballpark about like 800 yards also. Maybe not even hitting 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I don't think there's enough targets there. I don't know. When you look at the guys that are there, right? Cooper Kupp is right with him, and I think Cooper Kupp's going to have a bounce back year. I guess I shouldn't maybe don't even say bounce back, but he's going to have a great year with Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Moore is going to have a solid year. I just think there's a few picks. I would go ahead of Julio here. Seems a little early. Not too bad, but a little bit early.
Maybe accounting kind of where he is, but maybe a little too early. But you wouldn't be shocked if he goes there, right?
Correct.
I mean, I'm big on DJ Moore also. I think big time steal with great wide receiver 2 potential, to where he doesn't leave your lineup. Type of wide receiver 2. So, the receivers all around him. I would take Julio. I just don't like him, but I probably wouldn't actually take him. I was gonna say Tyler. I would take Julio over Tyler Lockett, but I can't. I couldn't do that. Tyler Lockett actually just consistently gets you 1,010 touchdowns. He just does. Don't know how. He just doesn't.
Just happens.
This is about those. We are about in that round where you start looking, where normal people start looking at quarterbacks. You have a bunch of them just chilling right here.
Yeah.
You have Lamar Jackson a little earlier in it. You have A-Rod. You have
somebody's going to jump
Wilson.
on him early, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, somebody's going to jump on that.
On Rodgers?
Or maybe not Rodgers. I'm saying Lamar.
Lamar.
Yeah, I think somebody jumps on Lamar and Allen will go kind of early, pass or earlier than the 5th round range here at ESPN. I'm just saying.
Well, then if you do that, so let's say he does go a little sooner because he's a special player and he's gonna go. He probably will go up in that range. I'm not disagreeing with you. Do you take Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or Dak Prescott, and all healthy?
So myself, I know a little biased too, but I can't ignore what he did at the start of last year and how he was going off and tearing it up. I would probably go Dak here just because all the weapons in that wide receiving core. I'm not too sold on the defense 100%, so I think there's going to be some high-scoring games. He's going to throw the rock. So I'm probably going to go Dak here. I think he balls out this year.
Not to say that's a bad answer, but it's definitely biased. I don't think you go with anybody besides Rodgers.
So what you're trying to say nicely is, with respect, is it. I'm not trying to say that it's a bad answer, but it is.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those. No offense, but you're a fucking idiot.
No,
yeah,
no.
yeah, gotcha.
Well, I know I'm not taking old Kirk Cousins anywhere close to here. I'm not even. Nobody's drafting that guy.
Don't need to. That's why it'd be the steal. That's why it'd be the steal of the draft, son.
Oh my god.
They carry you to a championship.
That's right.
So who
Get
you,
outta
who you
here.
who you thinking then, Danny?
Aaron Rodgers in that scenario.
I was about to light both of you up if one of you didn't take him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it doesn't
Because
matter.
I definitely like
you
him.
guys both threw like MVP talk around. And he's gonna light it
Yep.
up. This is his walkaway game or walkaway season from there, and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
And neither one of you put him in the conversation of Josh Allen and Mahomes earlier.
He was right there. It wasn't that far
No,
off.
no,
right.
no. You said it clearly would have been those two if you got to pick. All three of them are sitting there. You guys.
So
clearly
we're
said-
talking. So ignore the picks for offensive player of the year. We're talking fantasy, right? So Dak Prescott for me because he brings a run factor.
right. I am
As well.
talking fantasy. Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers, if he lights it up like you guys said, MVP, which we already stated,
Offensive
he's
player of the year for me.
or offensive player of the year, whatever the hell you put him at,
Mhm.
still would be well over 40 touchdowns. So yes, I'm having the same conversation, but putting it in a fantasy context. So which one you're telling me? That's the reason why I was about to light you guys up. You guys were high on him. Why wouldn't you take him right here? Is what my point is. So you had the fanboyism, which I understand. It's your guy.
No, I'm going to take the potential for the rushing touchdowns to come into play here.
Aaron Rodgers gets those too,
I think Dak's going to get more.
and he has the number one receiver based off of fantasy.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going with overall weapons, though. I think the best wide receiving core in the NFL. You can't ignore that for fantasy purposes. He's got everybody in the world to throw to, barring injuries, right?
But
So
none of
plus
them,
a rushing
but none of them are
factor.
Devontae Adams, so they don't have the best receiver, I guess.
Not the best receiver, no.
Okay, by fantasy standards, not the best receiver in the NFL. Just by fantasy standards, he is.
Right. No, I'm definitely taking Devontae Adams over all three Cowboy wide receivers. But I'm supporting cast. That's why I'm taking Prescott here.
Okay.
Plus the rushing factor. You know, I know Wilson has that. And sure, Rodgers can move some, but Prescott, and it's kind of a hope to see this year that they incorporate more of that read option.
All right. So I'm gonna go against both of you. Russell Wilson. They're gonna be chasing from behind, right? Most
Yep.
of it, and he just does Russell Wilson things. Also, he does.
Didn't he fall apart though at the end of
He
last
actually
year?
did.
I was going to say
It
he
hurt.
fell off bad.
He carried me for a high majority. Like he was throwing up 40s and high 30s
Yeah,
and
like
40
the first
points.
4 or 5 games were nuts.
Yeah, just stupid. And he did, and he just could not. I think I even had to swap quarterbacks. I don't know if that was also around the time frame, which you may be able to back me on this one. Was that about the time frame that Carson got banged up too? Like when he started going downhill a little bit.
That I can't be sure of, but I know Carson.
I know
was
he faced the Rams
injured.
twice in that time frame, and that never helps.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm not doing the dum again because I played him in one, and then
Yep. And all division games are a little hard, even though it may be not
Yep.
a better team than what you've played, on your non-division schedule, but division games are tough no matter who they are.
So we're picking kind of in another weird area too here. We have some wide receivers popping up again. They could end up as your wide receiver 3, especially because we run 3 wide receivers in our league, right? My question for you guys is, I know that you were big on T. Higgins. He did wonderful things for you last year, right? So you have a Brandon Ayuk, who's kind of do-it-all gadget player. Hey, he was running the rock too for him. I don't know if Debo kind of takes him down a little bit because if he's healthy, but you have Brandon Ayuk, you have T. Higgins, you have Odell Beckham kind of in this range, Juju Smith-Schuster. Any of those guys? Do any of those guys need to be on your team? That you would love, or that you would like to as your wide receiver 3, borderline 2-ish right there.
Oh yeah, if I can get Odell as my wide receiver 3, I think that'd be. I would like that. Not. Man, I think like I said, I think the Browns take a big step up this year, and I see him coming out and putting up some good numbers this year. Hopefully with the injury
So
and
grabbing
stuff.
him
So
as a 3.
as my 3, I would
definitely won't hurt your feelings.
Yeah,
then.
definitely
Okay.
would not hurt my feelings, and I would take him probably over T. Higgins. Yeah, I think I would take him over T. Higgins.
Okay.
The ceiling is obviously the highest with Beckham, right? Between these 3.
The ceiling because he's shown it before.
Yeah,
with
because
another
he's,
team?
because he's shown it before. He's shown a few flares, if you will.
I'm gonna let
with
you
the
finish what you
Browns.
say, but I still think the bigger ceiling here is actually T Higgins. I think but go ahead and finish what you're saying. But I thought that if we're talking about ceiling, we haven't seen what T Higgins can really do.
Right,
So-
but we have seen what Beckham can do, so that's my point, right?
Right, but
so
there-
we know the ceiling is
Yep.
high. I think the floor is too low for Beckham. I think there's potential for him to get pissed off and just not do much a few games.
And those
That's what worries me.
kicking nets are a bitch.
They are. So I like Ayuk. I think I'd give the nod to Higgins though in this situation if I had the 3.
Okay. So I would lean towards. So we're all on board that no way that you would take Juju Smith-Schuster over those 3, though, right?
No chance.
No.
Mm-mm.
I think
Absolutely
he's
not.
too worried about doing TikToks than he is playing
Yeah,
receiver in the
absolutely.
NFL. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Any one of those other receivers on that team, I would take, as in for the Steelers. Mine would have to be. I'd lean. I'm staying away from Odell. He wouldn't surprise me being like a top 12 wide receiver when this is all said and done. He has that potential. We know he has that potential. But I'm not going to deal with head caseness. I'm trying to win. I'm not going to roll the dice because these other guys aren't really a roll of the dice for me. T. Higgins is not a roll of the dice. I think he goes nowhere but up. And Brandon Ayuk is not a roll of the dice. He was the only receiver last year. The only role you have is Deebo Samuel being back and being healthy, maybe taking a few away, but he's going to grow. So if I have to go down between those two, I'd probably go Brandon Ayuk because it's Deebo Samuel and then Kittles. But then we already talked about all the weapons Cincinnati has. They have a lot of mouths to feed too if everything's clicking. They have 3, 4. They have like 4 targets.
So a couple guys kind of looking here as I'm scrolling down. And they're going in the late 6th round. And Mike Davis, Gus Edwards going to be starting. He may shoot up. But Damian Harris, you got a couple of starting running backs going into the 6th man. That is
Mike Davis kind of saved you last year, right?
Yeah, no kidding. I handcuffed him up. Yeah,
because you
And
had
it's,
him with who'd you lose?
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So back-to-back years, I lost my number 1 draft pick. It was Saquon the year before for almost a whole year, and then Christian McCaffrey. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, he definitely did serviceable job for sure. Yeah, not a sexy pick, but there's literally nobody else in that running back room. So Mike Davis, I think you can get him in the 6th, definitely steal, man. Starting running back on a potentially explosive offense. Gus Edwards, I think he slides up a little bit because Baltimore's going to run the rock a lot. So I think he slides up because this was probably before the injury. I'm not sure, but when we put
it might
it
not
up,
be fully, but
yeah. So I think he should slide up the draft board a little bit. So late,
but it
6th.
shows how special J.K. or people thought J.K. was.
Yeah.
If this is up to date, because
It
J.K.
is
was
up to
much.
date.
Yeah. Okay. So
Right.
J.K. Dobbins was much higher than that. So that just
Right.
shows how much special other people think that J.K. was versus Gus Edwards.
Absolutely. Damian Harris here, starting a rookie quarterback, you're going to want to run the ball. So if you can get a starting running back on a team is going to run the ball, Patriots they're going to run the ball and they're going to throw their tight ends, right? So awesome pick if you can get them here in the 7th.
Who you taking? All 3 being
Between
right
the
there for you.
2?
For the 3, you said Mike Davis. Guess what?
Oh, yeah,
Gus
Mike
Edwards
Davis
and
too,
Damian.
yeah. God, man, try not to be biased. I do like Mike Davis. I'm going to go with Gus. Go with Gus.
Hey, I got to throw one more in there for you. I'm gonna dice this up a little bit
Okay.
because he's right in that same time range too.
Okay.
Raheem Mostert.
You know what? There's too many backs over there.
They've always had too many backs with him, and when
That's
he's on the
true.
field, he just takes it, right?
Yeah.
If he's healthy, I understand that, but
right. I'm going here a clear cut. You got a clear cut 1, 2, 3 guys that will be number 1s.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So myself, I'm probably leaning Gus right here a little bit, but then Damian would be my number 2, real close. So
who are you thinking right there? You're sitting over there.
So we'll talk about him in a little bit, but I'm going Damian Harris in this situation.
Okay. Don't need too much detail on that. Then I would have to go Gus Edwards. I was huge on J.K. I was hoping that he wouldn't climb too far. I'm at the end of the 2nd and beginning part of the 3rd, and I was going to take J.K. Dobbins. It was going to be God, my own boy. and then come back around and grab J.K. Dobbins, so I'd have a 1-2 punch right out of the gate, and that kind of lipped up. So Gus Edwards is where it's at for me.
Yeah, the number's deceiving right now, right? So if we knew J.K. was injured before anybody started drafting, Gus would be much higher in ADP.
Yeah,
right?
I think so too. Yeah.
So that's a good call. But what we're gonna do now, we wanted to at least give you somewhere around 5-6 rounds, kind of get your first half of your draft taken care of. We're actually gonna move in to a new segment called "Take It to the Bank." And Jimmer, go ahead and explain to the folks what we're looking at here.
So what we are looking at here is we are gonna pull a guy, wide receiver and probably a running back, where we believe they're being drafted or they are being perceived that they're going to be a wide receiver 3, running back 3, but they're going to end up in the clear-cut running back, wide receiver 2, maybe even borderline 1-ish. And we'll see how she goes here. And that's exactly where we're going to go. Rio, who you got?
All right. So mine here, he's getting the first half of the 5th, late 4th-ish. DeAndre Swift, running back for Detroit. I think he's going to break out this year. I still think the Lions are going to be a bad team, but I think he's going to put up some good numbers, be up there in that RB2 range. Man, I just think the flashes we got to see from him, he did very well. Takes a little bit of downgrade in quarterback hit, but I just don't think they've got enough weapons. There are going to be a lot of checkdowns to Hawkinson and then him as well, DeAndre Swift. So I'm seeing him as my breakout. I'm thinking he's going to slide up into that, be a perfect RB2 if you can grab a hold of him. So my other one, Courtland Sutton. I think he's going to he's come back from injury, right? He's out there running some great routes. They got him going in the second half of the 7th. I think that is ridiculous. I take him over Jerry Jeudy, Robbie Anderson. I think he could be up there as a good wide receiver 2, pushing for a 1 spot.
Courtland Sutton, I am big on. He, before the injury, didn't show like anyone there was really. I mean, Noah Fant kind of did before he got real banged up, and then he wasn't the same. But Courtland Sutton is just, especially on a team that didn't have quarterback play very well. But I'll go ahead and let Danny go to his players to bank on. Take it to the bank.
Take it to the bank. So my running back to take to the bank here, great value in my opinion. Somewhere right in the 7th round, maybe late 6th, depending on your draft. But Damian Harris with the Patriots. There's little competition in that backfield. He's a proven back. Obviously, with Sony gone, that's going to only increase his targets, his rushes, everything, and the rookie quarterback. You're going to have to rely on Damian to help
Are you
out.
worried about Stevenson taking anything from him, the rookie?
Yeah, I think a little bit, just knowing Belichick and how he runs things, right? I think there will be a little bit taken, but the value here is just, it's too good.
It is.
It's too good.
I don't disagree with it. I mean, you're going to go with a little bit more seasoned guy. He doesn't want to throw a rookie out there to protect his other rookie quarterback who he needs to build his confidence on. So, yeah, no, great pick. And what are you thinking for wide receiver there, big guy?
So Rio actually mentioned him in his piece here, but Robbie Anderson, the Carolina wide receiver, he had almost 140 targets last year. I think the quarterback situation is definitely taking a step up in Carolina. I think McCaffrey's going to be healthy. They're going to be able to spread the ball to different people. He's going to have some more opportunities there. So Robbie Anderson, he's a late 6th round. I think he proves himself to be an easy number 2.
So
Just
I
got an extension too.
He did, but I'm going to go ahead and I got to throw a little bit of shade your way on this one. I don't have a problem with him if it was still Teddy. Teddy was looking for him nonstop. This man was up there with Sam Darnold. He wasn't getting no 140 looks when he was up there. He was a one-trick pony, 2 receptions a game for a touchdown, maybe.
Right.
So does that concern you at all? Are you hoping with the growth of Darnold and a different offense, a true offensive scheme?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors. Just that whole everything about the organization was bad. So whether it's play calling, the style of play, just everything about it. I think this is going to be totally different. They've got a lot more talent than he ever has had to deal with. So I think there's going to be, if nothing else, there's going to be a lot more just cleaner looks to the different guys. And I think Robbie Anderson takes a big step up from where he's being drafted.
Okay. So I'm gonna have to go with for running back. I'm going Chase Edmonds. I think we said it in one of our previous episodes, or I said it in one of our previous episodes. he doesn't get any love. Like, it's almost like they don't want to. Like, he goes out there, he does his job, and he does it pretty damn well, actually, when he gets his opportunity when there's no other running back. Like, I think there were some injuries, and he had to start. I think he ran for 4 touchdowns up there against the Jets or Giants or one of the two. I mean, I understand they were both shitty, but nobody really there. I mean, who was the other one? The other one was James Conner. Yeah, not worried about that shit. Not at all. That go ahead and tell us how you felt about James Conner when he was on your team. So, and that was with the Steelers, too, who are been known to run the rock, and he's still going to do it.
Yeah, last year was tough with James Conner, and I also had Josh Jacobs, both the number one backs, the only guys, but they didn't. Neither one of them produced. Jacobs did in the early part of the season, but later it was awful.
Yep.
Yeah, James Conner just not talented enough, even when he was the guy in Pittsburgh.
A great story.
Great story.
Great story in battling cancer and beating it, but at the end of the day, football. That's the reason why I'm taking Chase Edmonds. He's been in that system. He knows what he's doing, and I believe he's going to end up as a consistent RB2 for you. RB1's difficult to tap into, so I'm not swinging for full-blown fence here. But second, he could be a guy that he literally just stays in your RB2 spot. So I'm going to go ahead and roll into my wide receiver, and I'm going to go to a team that was already touched by my man Rio over here. Now, I already stated that I love Cortland Sutton, but I think that the guy that is going to take off is going to be Jerry Jeudy, especially with Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy B loves to throw like 6. What yard per attempt is like 6, 7.
Terrible.
Jerry Jeudy is a slant machine. I mean, if you watch him at Alabama, he'll be taking that shit to the house quite frequently, and I think he'll end up as your wide receiver. He'll comfortably end up as a wide receiver too, when the season's all said and done. So, I know that that being said, my man Rio here likes Cortland Sutton a lot, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw a wager at you there, big guy.
Bring it on.
Let's go ahead and throw on there. And we both have the wide receivers for him. I am betting you that Jerry Jeudy finishes ahead of Cortland Sutton in fantasy.
Okay. Injury clause? Got to miss more than 3 games.
So I'm going to say no. And the reason why I say no to an injury clause, the only thing I'm going to say about an injury clause.
Cortland Sutton's coming out of ACL chair.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
3
that
games.
means it. Yeah. So did AP, and he rushed for over 2,000 yards. So get over it. Number one. But number two, I'm going to put a borderline one in. Whenever they get injured, if they do get injured, you only count the games up to that point. Okay. And so nothing else matters beyond that. So that's what I mean by no and yes, both. And let's go ahead and, I'm not a huge nasty beer guy. I'm a little borderline picky.
You're also not a very smart guy, but we will talk about that.
Well, I've been carrying you two guys already, so.
So far, the most misinformed person on this podcast has been who, Rio?
Oh, that's good.
Jimmer.
Not
over
even,
there. Yeah.
Not even
Look
close. Not even close carrying it.
He just looks so confused over there.
I will bet you when we start rolling up on this, when we start rolling up on the YouTube videos, I will bet you we'll chug 2 beers, and I'm talking beer pong or beer bong version of it.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
You down for that?
I'm down for that.
I know. He may be. After 2 beers, he's gonna be wasted for the rest of the thing.
What kind of beer? You said
nasty. You find the nastiest beer.
The other person gets to pick. How about that?
Hey, you remember what I brought to Smitty's
can beer?
You remember what I brought to Smitty's shed?
That nasty
so
ass
you know I can
liquor.
Bring some crazy stuff. So
yeah, I'm all right. I'll find something nasty for beer.
All right, there it is.
I'm sure there's a Kansas City Chiefs flavored fucking beer out there. Hold on. It tastes like butthole.
Yeah, it tastes like. Danny, what the hell, man? Like, you're not getting in on any of the bets. It's kind of crap.
This was bet number 1.
No, this was bet number 2.
This was bet
number 2. So
right.
Nah, it's okay. I understand he's afraid.
Yeah, he is afraid. He's not very confident in his picks.
You know what? He keeps talking about this championship so much. Right. His one little baby fluke season.
Oh, are we gonna have a fantasy football?
I think we are. I think we're getting to the point where
that's gonna happen.
So
who finishes?
I would love to go ahead and wager with you that I finish higher than you.
What are we talking about? Regular season? In the end, what are we talking about?
Well, either one. So end of the season standings. And you can pull it up on ESPN. You can go to end of the season standings, total standings. Whoever is listed as number one usually is a champ, I do believe. But
So
no, who just finishes better in the playoffs?
in the
We'll
playoffs,
go
yeah,
there.
that's where I was going.
Yep.
To.
Who finishes better in the playoffs?
I guess you can do
I
it
mean,
that way.
Well, I don't know what ESPN does. When you battle back.
Yeah.
How we do. You fight
Yeah.
for. I don't know how they add that up. So we'll just go
Okay.
who does
All right.
best in the
All right.
playoffs.
All
right.
Okay. But Jimmer won't make
You
the
know
playoffs.
what? You know what? I got even better. No, not even the
Some of his
not even the
picks,
standard.
I don't
Not even the
know.
standings, because he could play a slapdick like you twice in that 17 week. So we're gonna up this. Whoever scores more
I didn't
points,
drop Justin Jefferson.
more points for at the end of the season. That tells me whose team is better, who drafted better, who kept up with their team better. More points for.
No, it's end of the season.
No.
Who finishes?
No,
better in the
because
playoffs.
what are you afraid
you
of?
have doubt.
There's no-
Your
what are you
first
afraid
your
of?
first round pick
You're
should
worried
score
you're
more
gonna
than him.
lose.
What are you afraid of though?
I don't understand. You're the one that's changing.
I said
the bet.
no.
Yeah.
I just said points for.
No.
That's it. There's no conversation because if
Don't
you,
take that, Danny.
No,
if you-
well, no,
if you-
dude. I have finished with the highest points for and damn near last in my league. Points for doesn't mean shit.
No, that's the reason why
Okay.
we're not. That's the reason why we're not counting standings. So you should be all for that.
No. Playoffs.
Don't take
who
it, Danny.
finishes better
Yeah.
in the playoffs
Who
is my bet.
finishes better
You could play
in the playoffs.
slapdicks, so you could make it to the playoffs by playing slapdicks. That's the reason why we go all things
Right.
equal. We don't play each other every single week. So why don't we just go
It
points?
doesn't
for?
matter whose team does better in the playoffs.
I
You
didn't. I
gotta
didn't
get
know
there.
Rio was in on this bet. So I'm talking
That's
to the
a-
bearded wonder over
It's just
here.
not.
That doesn't make sense to me, especially being 2 and 12 pick.
Why wouldn't?
I wouldn't take that at all.
Why wouldn't it?
Well, if I was you, I would take it
you
absolutely.
You just lost your number
I
one
wouldn't
pick
do
last
it.
year.
wouldn't do it.
You
And
just lost
also,
your number one pick.
For
Yeah.
anybody listening, I won the championship, and I actually faced Jimmer in this. Somehow,
'Cause I played
have
the wrong player.
12 pick, and Jimmer, what's your pick?
And what are you
What's your
afraid
pick,
of? Then?
Jimmer?
My pick is 2.
Yeah, I
No,
don't
last
see-
year?
And this
Okay. No,
happened.
last
Hold
year?
on.
No,
I
last
will
year?
back.
This
We
happened
did this.
outside
all
of
No, hold on,
legit.
hold on. What did we? What? I don't even remember where I picked last year. Actually,
I don't
Yeah, I don't
remember
know
either.
I can't remember where I picked last
I
year.
don't remember either.
So
But that was just for clarification. But the wager, Jimmer, it's playoffs. Who finishes better? That's what I'm willing to bet.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Definitely take it. Or that's the only.
You
thing
go to
I'd
the
do if I were
championship every
you.
year, right? This is what you
Oh,
keep
I didn't
saying.
say every year. My team goes to the
I know.
playoffs outside of one bad season.
And you finished.
I have
last.
3 championships, which is what this still more than both years combined.
I haven't finished last. You finished last. You got the toilet bowl trophy.
Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you lose players in free agency.
Are
Sometimes you drop them like an idiot.
So you're
Justin
not.
Jefferson.
And I still played in the second place game or in the first place game where you were
Okay.
battling for third, big guy.
So is it a wager, or are you backing off?
I guess I'll do it, but seriously, you're afraid of battling my team one on one. You want to put
If you get to the
Other
playoffs
people
and you
getting
win,
into
you
it.
can battle them 1-on-1.
no. It still won't matter at that point.
Well, hopefully your team puts up.
That's the reason why I'm
points.
saying I think you're afraid to face my team one on one, and one on one is going by points for.
I don't think there's an afraid thing at all.
I think it is.
But I think what makes the most sense is who does better, because that's what matters. You could get the most points and finish last, Jimmer.
I understand you can. That's
Right.
that, and I don't think that's right. I think that honestly, the person with the most points should be going to the playoffs, even
Yes.
if they finish dead last. So that's another conversation if you want to talk about that part.
Yep.
I think they should be going automatically. You could have one. You could just have the dumbest luck or worst luck in the world, where you face the highest scoring team every week. That team doesn't score shit the rest of the time.
Shouldn't have been there.
Should have been where?
Facing them.
yeah. So we get to pick.
Yeah. So we definitely agree. I think it should be based on points. The record almost shouldn't matter. It should be based
Right.
on points, and that's where your rankings are in the playoffs. But that's not the way it is, and so that's the reason playoff bet makes the most
so you're
sense.
afraid. I got you.
There's no
On
fear.
the record. Oh, then we'll do both of them.
It's what
Well,
makes
then we'll
sense.
do both of them. How about that?
2-part bet.
Yeah, 2-part bet. Why not? Then
Okay.
you're caught up with us.
Okay.
How about
There
that?
you
So
go.
we're gonna go hair on one of
bet.
them.
Oh, hey, wait. Danny is bald, isn't he?
No, he's gonna have to grow it out.
That's
Oh.
tough.
Yeah, you have to grow it out.
Yikes.
You have to grow it out until training camp of the next season.
And you
Start
have to,
of the training
And you
camp.
have to keep shaving yours until
You
training
have
camp.
to bick your head
Oh
until
my
training
gosh.
camp.
Oh my gosh! Write this down because this is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Big strong.
Oh
God
my
damn.
goodness,
Bick.
dude!
I-
Yes, and I will shave your head, Jimmer.
We have to wait for yours to get long. This is the reason why I said till training camp. Shaving in mine for that long?
Yes.
No, it'd be funny just the way
Okay.
it looks
Okay.
once.
Fine.
Come
fine,
on,
fine.
don't come on.
No, I'll back off a little bit, and I'll say halfway to training camp.
Jesus Christ.
That's
Be
back off
confident.
of- What? Be
Oh, I'm
confident.
confident in it.
Oh, then
but
stop
I
shaking.
But I can
I can
picture
see
my
you shaking over
But
there.
I could picture myself with a
There's,
bald head.
and there's
Like,
no change in the
goddamn.
bet because your wife doesn't want you to shave your head.
Oh, yeah,
no,
absolutely.
dude, I paid this up last time. She was not a fan, so I will pay up.
It wasn't baked. It was a
No, it was
razor.
baked. No, it was baked.
Okay.
I
remember
swear
that.
on that.
Hey,
I was
because
misinformed.
don't take it because he come to me. He had a tattoo bet and I was gonna win. He got scared, and so he like come to me. Hey, let's
No,
just like take it
Everything
out.
was equal at that time, and I was ahead of him.
Right. No, he was scared. You were not ahead of me.
It doesn't
He
matter. I was
scared.
ahead. I was ahead of him.
That's not how it
Yes.
was. I was ahead on points 4. So if we would have tied, it would have went to points 4.
I was still ahead of him.
Okay, so back on track.
Yep.
This is a 2-part bet. If I win, get further in the playoffs, you score more points, or vice versa. It's just a null bet. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, it'd have to be a push, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, just comboed up, I guess. Or you want to combo it up or 2 separate bets?
No,
I
it's,
guess.
it's fine. It's fine the way.
So
it is.
you have to do both. You have to be better, and you have to have more points. Right?
That's well, that's a win for either of
Well,
you. All you
what's-
gotta do is
what's
win the other
Well,
one.
it's a good thing that we asked for Rio's opinion on that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Should it be a combo where you get both? Yeah, you know what? I think it should because that shows who really the better team is, regardless of points.
So how about this then? We'll flip it around a little bit. We'll make the second wave, regardless. It's still going to be a bet either way, right? So, as in on the second one, do you want to make it the playoffs for the hair? Better season, and then wherever you go in the playoffs. Is that what you're talking about?
Neither of y'all are gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, we will.
Don't worry about that shit.
Rio's heading for the
Let's do it.
toilet
Let's do it.
bowl this year.
Yeah, he is.
N-
Let's go ahead and do
never had
that. How about that? We put it on that. We put it on the playoffs
So
one because
hair
that's the
is
one.
playoffs. Okay.
Yep, that's the one you had your dick hard over. And then the points 4 is going to be we flip flop fucking beards. You have to stay baby face while your hair grows out. I have to.
So I have a hair thing twice.
No,
Yeah.
and then
he's
and
adding
then
things in.
and then
he's adding
hold on.
things in.
No. And then I got to grow mine out while having a big head.
I'm not following.
Yeah, now you're trying to add some more stuff into it.
All right, so playoffs
Just
is
take the point.
hair.
Just take the points thing off because, like I said, we're making this too confusing. But I'm telling
we
you,
aren't. No,
I'm telling you, it means more to me for the points 4. I think the person should have always made the fucking playoffs. So I think somebody playing a weak ass schedule should not count for a bet. But I'll go ahead and do it because I'm not afraid of it. What I'm saying is head to head. That's how you show head to head who has a better team is points 4. But go ahead. We'll leave it on the hair and we'll leave it on the whoever finishes the season better.
Okay. Well,
You chalking that up. So if we're getting wrapped up here, Danny, let's go ahead and think about your makes sense if
makes sense if you don't think about
don't
it.
think about it. So since we're getting all wrapped up here, and now that the blood pressure is down a little bit, I want to talk something a little serious. If you're around the Mason City area, on September 25th at 10 a.m., there will be a memorial ride for James Burke. He was killed on his motorcycle on March 29th of this year. Proceeds will go to his wife and daughters to help with life costs that you don't expect somebody to lose, the main breadwinner to lose their life. You are to meet at Old Sears parking lot at 10 a.m. Look her up on Facebook. Highly recommend you going. It's for a good cause. There'll be silent auction, and be greatly appreciated. So on to my guy Danny. Makes sense if you don't think about it.
yeah. So this morning, and this isn't a life situation that I experienced. This is something my wife told me about this morning.
Perfect.
So it
I
fits
like
in.
I
It
like
fits in
it.
perfect.
Okay.
So this morning, my wife comes home. She worked night shift, so she got home around 8:30 this morning, and somebody
best nurse in the nation, right?
best nurse in the country. If you
In
need
the country.
anything, hit up
She's got
wifey.
you.
So she comes home. She brought some food. I was outside letting the dog out, and I don't know. I don't want to be too mean, but some fugly lady just rides up on her bike, and she says hi to Sam, and they start talking. I go inside, and it turns out this lady works with my wife, and she basically stopped to tell my wife that there was something she needed to not do at her job. And so
You have my attention.
yeah, so my wife, not to say where she works or anything, she delivers babies, okay? And part of her job is to make sure the moms aren't in pain
Right.
when they're delivering babies.
Absolutely.
And so what this lady decided to do, and mind you, this is not Sam's boss. This is just a coworker.
Okay. Yeah.
And so first
Always
of all,
like those guys. You know?
always like that. Always the smartest.
first of all, my boss won't come talk to me outside of my work, let alone just a coworker is going to come up and try to criticize me for something. That's all that aside. She says you cannot give this particular drug to a patient without literally paperwork that shows that it's approved to do, even though she had received a verbal approval to do this from the doctor that was taking care of the patient. And so basically what that amounts to is like an extra half hour of the mother delivering the baby to be in pain and dealing with this situation.
Yeah. That's
So she criticized her for not having that paperwork in that moment.
So for taking
That's
care of her
crazy.
patient,
Exactly.
like a
Like you
real OG nurse does.
Exactly.
Weird.
So in so many ways, it makes sense if you don't
If
think
you
about
don't
it.
think about
So,
it.
that is crazy.
Well, that wraps her up today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. A lot more banter. We had a lot more different opinions today, so it was definitely fun just riffing. Feel free, like Rio says every time, share, post things about us, comment on our post.
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube.
TikTok. We are gonna be getting some video. We are on YouTube now without video, but we will be having video here very shortly.
Yeah, and I mean, we want to try to be more interactive with everyone, so we're never wrong, obviously. But tell us where we're misinformed, where things might change, and let us know how you drafted too. Post,
Yeah, especially if you like to be told that you're wrong. Like we're down for that too. We're always down for that, right, Rio?
Oh yeah, man.
No
Definitely.
problem telling you.
Gotta get my wife on here then.
Right. But yeah, it's exciting. Let's go ahead and seriously, anything you guys got, bring it in, and we'll definitely bring it up. That's for sure.
Beautiful. All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for episode 4. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you later this week.
Ciao.